Welcome back to One Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this featured product video, we are checking out the Adventure Bag. This is a bag which will help you get games from point A to B. This comes from Crafting Kingdoms, and they currently have a Kickstarter campaign ongoing right now. If you want to check it out for more information, the link is in the pinned comment and video description, and it is worth mentioning they provided this bag to me for free. The aim of the video is to help you make an informed decision as to whether or not this bag will suit your needs. And of course, being that it's a bag, most of this is pretty obvious. It's going to have multiple different compartments, of course, of varying sizes. I'll show you a couple of these. So first off, we have two in the front here. On the actual crowdfunding campaign, you're going to see that you can actually have differences in terms of what you have here, in terms of a design. Again, you don't even need to go with this color scheme that I have here as well. There's different variations to choose from, but these pockets will help you to put components and other things inside of them, simply zipping them open and throwing things inside, as you'd expect from a bag. Nothing surprising there. Also, as we go through the different features of the bag, I'll let you know things that I like and things that I believe need more work. Now, in terms of the pockets, I'm actually really happy with the different sizes and variations that they have across the bag, because there's a number of different places to place different size components or different size things you might need to carry with you, whether it's pens, papers, all that kind of stuff in these different pockets. So we have another one here right beside the one we just opened up, exact same size for more stuff. If you're looking to store things that are a little bit more thin, then you do have this pocket across the top here where you can stuff things all the way down to the seam. On the opposite side of the bag, instead of two smaller pockets, we have one large pocket here, which is really handy for getting in some larger components that'll take up a lot more space. This pocket is quite big. Now, you might be wondering what these things are right here. These allow you, and they actually change in terms of how far out they are to how closed in they are, but they're going to allow you to bring play mats attached to the side of your bag. So if you have them in tubes, or even if you don't have them in tubes, you can slip them straight through here, and then you can pull tight in order to keep the play mat right secured to the side of the bag as you carry the rest of it. And of course, it's also worth mentioning here, this bag is completely empty right now, so it's kind of looking a little bit saggy at the moment. But once I actually show you a little later on with games inside of it, the structure of this thing will fill out as it's a rectangle and become quite strong. And then when you have a playmat across the side, it will look really good. And it's actually really cool to be able to bring a playmat when you're actually traveling. That is a nice thing that you don't get to see on other storage solutions that allow you to move things from point A to B. And when we flip the bag over to the bottom, you'll see that it'll be able to sit on all 6 of these. You might be wondering why this side is a little bit further down than this side. That's because this side is a hard back side. It is going to have a straight edge here, whereas this side is the side that's going to open from. So it's a little more flimsy on this side, which is A-okay because this is where the door mainly is to open up. We're going to see that in a moment. And that hard edge I just talked about also has the same type of grooved feet along the bottom here to keep the bag in place on hard surfaces, or to just keep the actual fabric itself off of the ground. And then of course it has a loop here as well, which you can use with different accessories that you have. If you want to carry this thing more like a duffel bag, that'll be one of the loops you'll be using. And you can see this is the solid side here of the bag, being that it is the bottom. There's a second bottom to this bag, so whether you're carrying this thing as it's laying right now with this bottom, or you can flip it straight up and down and have this be the bottom. Now we're gonna go ahead and crack this thing open, show you the inside. Opening up the main compartment is very straightforward. You're gonna grab the 2 large size zippers, and all these zippers are quite big, and you're gonna go ahead and just start to open this up. You're gonna see all the accessories inside. These are gonna be different ways you can use to connect to the bag, whether you're carrying this thing on your back or carrying it like a sports duffel bag. But as you open this up, and this is something that's worth mentioning, if I bring this back just a little bit, you're gonna see some pockets actually built right in to the inside of the flap itself. You're gonna be able to zip this open right here, and then that's gonna give you access to this whole panel here, which is just a little bit out of screen, so I'll bring the bag a little closer. And then there's another one even lower than that. So you have some more hidden compartments along the top of this bag too to use. And then of course, when you open it up, you have a giant rectangular padded area to place your board games inside of. We have a number of accessories in here. Again, all these different straps, whether you're putting on your back, duffel bag, gym bag kind of style thing. You've got a whole bunch to choose from, or you're just going to kind of carry it. You've got every option under the sun in here in terms of how you want to connect it. There are the shoulder straps for if you're carrying more like a book bag style. all kinds of options in here. And then of course you even have the info tag here to make sure that if you lose the bag, someone can help get it back to you if they're kind enough. And this is the real cool addition. This is a feature I really, really like. These are, and I'll pull these out maybe separately. I can get them out right now. They're Velcroed together, so a little bit tough to do with one hand, but essentially these are dividers. So you're going to use these inside of the bag in order to divide up the interior of the bag however you wish to fit board games inside. Now for a moment, I want to focus on these inserts because I truly love this feature of the bag, and I think it's what makes it stand out from other options out there. It's really cool to be able to take a giant bag like this, which can just have games be thrown in, and of course, as we all know, if the bag takes a tumble and there's a bunch of games inside, well, they're going to move around quite a bit, they're going to rub against each other, there could be some damage that can actually come from even just having games next to each other inside the bag. What these inserts do is twofold. One, you get the customizable option to lay out the inside of the game bag however you want. If you want to see pictures of a layout, I got my Marvel Zombies Kickstarter game, which I put inside of this bag on social media in pictures, which you can check out. And then I'll show you how you can customize it to look a certain way. But on top of being able to customize the actual inside of the bag, you also get extra layers of protection, because by actually creating those pockets yourself for the games, you're able to keep them in tight areas so that if the bag does take a tumble, those games are staying still, and that's going to honestly reduce a lot of damage. Plus, there's none of this rubbing between boxes, which is going to take off the artwork or potentially destroy the outside of the games over time. So this is just a nice addition, a nice touch that a lot of other bags do not have. Now, as much as I love these inserts, there is one thing that I wish that they would do in the next iteration to make these even better. They're already great, but they can be perfect. And to get there really is just using what they've already done with the center of these inserts. These inserts in the middle here are much more firm. But what's a little bit confusing is that the outer edge, which is a flap that can go either way, and of course has a strip of Velcro on it, doesn't have anything in it to make it rigid. So it's a little bit too loose, and I don't like that factor of it. And the reason for it is because if you're not using them properly or you're storing them in the bag, this kind of stuff starts to happen, where you have the Velcro just attaching to itself because there's nothing rigid enough inside of it to be able to keep it open and stay open. There should almost be like a very, very long, thin rectangular piece inside and underneath, of course, within that Velcroed area on both edges of the flaps, which would keep them open. And that way, when you actually close them, it would be more rigid and also would stay more uniform across the rectangle. As of right now, you can see things start to bend a little bit over time. Now, that doesn't stop them from functioning the way that they should function. So there's no functional issue here. It's just more so if you don't want them to start having this kind of a bend in them or curving in them as time goes on, I really think that these need to be treated very much like what they've done with this. Putting this type of fabric inside of a housing on this end with the Velcro on top would just make it more rigid, and it would still bend, it would still do what it does, but it would just keep it more square. I think that's something that would really improve it. So here's a look inside the bag. Once I've used the inserts, I've gone ahead and placed them kind of a T formation here. So I got one down the center, which I put in first, and then connected the one on top, giving me space for two games up here. Zombicide, Undead or Alive, Stranger Things on top of that. You can also get another full box size similar to Zombicide on the very top, but I just showed a smaller one just for example. We got Skyrim down here, quite a wide board game in comparison to Resident Evil games over here on the right. I only used the one insert. There is another one that I have, which I could have easily placed in between here if I just move this off center a little bit and move Skyrim over. So there's room inside this bag beyond this. You can see there's actually space on either side. So you can get quite a bit of games packed inside this. And that's not even including all these pockets off to the side for maybe your mid, well, maybe not mid, but your small sized boxes. And just for those interested, here's the top section of the bags. You can see it a little more clearly. There's space, of course. Stranger Things could be swapped out with another box the size of Zombicide at the very top. Now, one thing I would recommend is that if you are picking this bag up and you're a real big fan of these inserts here, and if they do happen to sell them individually, which I'm not 100% sure of, but if they do, I would pick up more than just the 3. And the reason for that is because I could see 5 being the perfect amount, and that's mainly because most board game boxes are going to fall within the average size boxes. And I think along the bottom here, you're probably going to get, well, it's interesting. You could probably get about 4 of these size boxes across easily. And so you'd want 3 divisions down here, another one here is 4, and then another one up top for 5. And that would give you basically coverage across the entire bag. And again, if your bag takes a tumble or whatever, things are going to stay in their pockets. They'll be protected from all sides. And that, of course, is going to make sure that your game boxes come back to your house in the same condition that they left your house. Now here's a look at the outside of the game bag. Looks a lot better when it's all filled with games. It's worth noting this is all water-resistant material on the outside, so it can rain and snow and it's not going to get through onto your games. It can also take hits. You can give it a good smack. You can hit it against a door. It's not going to damage your games if you're doing it in a typical fashion, like you would if you were actually walking through a door and accidentally bumped up against the corner. But you're not going to want to roll this thing down a hill, is what I'm trying to say. This is not an indestructible bag. You can't throw this thing over a bridge and expect it to keep your games in good shape. This is only within normal usage that it can protect your games, but it'll certainly be better than anything else that you probably had prior to it. And you'll also see here, I've got ahead and placed a playmat connected in here, and there's lots of extra space to expand this. You can have a really large playmat connected to the side of this bag and bring it with you to enhance your gaming experience on the road. Now, if you're looking for more pictures on different games that I put inside of this bag to test it out, I've got them across all my social media already, so you can check those out if you wish. You can also go right to the campaign page for Crafting Kingdoms to see more about this bag if you're interested. The link's in the pinned comment and video description. Again, remember, this was provided to me for free, so you might be thinking, well, of course you're going to like the bag. Well, that is probably true, seeing as I was coming from a garbage bag type situation prior. This was a massive upgrade for me, but honestly, the two things that I was hoping to see were here. The first one was I was hoping the ability to bring playmats on the go without having to carry it separately would be an option, and it is there, and I like that a lot. A lot of other bags don't have that, or they don't do it well. There also is another secured spot just down here off camera with the same thing as this, so it's not just hooked once, it's hooked twice. You can really ensure that it stays put. And lastly, the inserts, which I absolutely love. I love the idea that you can just create your own housing within the bag and just change it whenever you feel like it. Plus, they double up as extra padding. Doesn't get much better than that. Ensures that things stay where they should stay and makes this bag very, very handy. And that, my friends, wraps up the feature product video for the adventure bag from Crafting Kingdoms. Let us know in the comments down below, what do you use in order to get your games on the go when traveling, heading to your friend's house, or even a gaming convention? We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.